But how long have you lived here now then?
Since 1968.
That's
40 years. 40.
yeah.
42, 41, 42 years. Well, it'd be interesting if we could have some film of, say, Schumann making a tea or C.P. Bach doing his shopping.
So have you ever written music away from home though?
Well, I do a lot of sketching. I mean, I have notebooks which I
Yeah.
can make notes in, but I seem to need to be among my things to actually work at a piece. I like to have a piano close by as well. I'm not one of those people who can write completely without any sound.
Mm-hmm. Do you work very quickly as well, actually, or not at all? That's something I've always...
Well, I work in bursts, really. Short bursts with long intervals of doing nothing in between. When I've got an idea I can work quite quickly, but often it takes a long time to settle down to anything. I do a lot of sketching, which a lot of it doesn't get used at all. I sort of a bit like clearing the ground sometimes. I feel that one has to do a lot of writing, which is going to get thrown away just as a way of
Oh right,
sort
yeah.
of digging out the mind, as it were. Dig out the rubbish before you get down to the real thing. So my sketchbooks are full of things which I eventually never used, or just like working out to get limbering up, as it were. I'm thinking about a string trio at the moment, so I started doing some sketches for a trio the other day.
After the concert?
Yes, but they really are only sketches, so I don't know if any of them will actually get used. But it's just a way of getting to know the possibilities of the medium. I was thinking in terms of 3 instruments. What sort of things one could do with them.
Getting started, yeah.
I tend to make things too joined up and too continuous, and I have to work to create spaces between things, to create this diversity. Whereas for you it seems to come naturally. For me, I tend to have a single idea and then I work away at it until I've exhausted it, and then it's too much of the same thing. So I've always tended to write very unitary kind of pieces, where it's one thing or slight variations on one thing all the time. And then I have to really work out when to break that idea, put in some kind of contrasting material. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, trying to break things up a bit. Trying not to have the same idea going on for too long. If I'm dissatisfied with a piece, it's usually because it's too minimal or too continuous. It introduce any variety. But on the other hand, I don't like too much variety.
It's a personal balance, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
you can decide when to stop, or sometimes going on for far too long it makes it interesting, you know, isn't it?
Well, a good example was that string quartet with the open strings, where I had them retune the strings. That was originally written all in long, continuous bowed notes. And it was only after the first or second rehearsal that I decided to break it up a bit and put in some pizzicato
Oh yes,
interludes right at the end.
Yeah.
And that seemed to give it a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to be just right. I was quite pleased with the way that worked.
So I've always thought of you really as a very sort of thorough composer, though. Anyway, you know, I don't know the extent of your sort of involvement with the systems music, you know, of the 70s and everything. But this always seemed to me that that's sort of, in a way, how you've worked. Is very
Yes,
sort of...
I was involved with it at that time. Yes, I've always had that tendency to be rather systematic, but again, it's something I've been through and tried to get away from a bit.
Well,
Or
sure.
To have it underlying there, but not to have it too much on the surface.
Mm-hmm. That's a really nice place to work. So you didn't work in the window there.
Yes, this is my copying. I work at the desk and then I work at the piano, but I'm constantly moving in between the two. So.
You've got some things. You've got all your bits and pieces
I got
there.
lots of bits and pieces.
Notes and rows and your oblique pieces work. They're not. It's not a 12-note row. It's a.
Well,
or is it a row at all?
It is a 12. It's 12 note, but it's not really a row. It's not done in a linear way. It's done in terms of permutations which come round and combine in ways which are not predictable. So you don't actually hear the same sequence of notes over and over like you do with Schoenberg. But nevertheless, the 12 notes are always present in some shifting relationship. I don't want everything to be completely predetermined. I like to work with a predetermined set of pitches, but then to treat them rather freely, so that I can make choices as I go along.